Hey everyone, welcome back to Earth Turtle. Today we are continuing our tour through the Phanerozoic Eon by looking at its sixth period, the Permian Period. Last episode we talked about the Carboniferous period. During this time there was high plant diversification and expansion. Due to more plants, there was more oxygen, which led to large land invertebrates. At the end of the Carboniferous, we also have the evolution of the amniotes. The Permian period was from 299 to 252 million years ago. It is the last period of the Paleozoic era. The supercontinent Pangaea dominated the Permian globe. Siberia was still to the north and also played an important role later in the Permian period. The Panthalassic Ocean wrapped around the continent. The Paleotethys Ocean was between Pangaea and smaller continents and islands. At the end of the Permian, the Tethys Ocean begins to form. Glaciation from the Carboniferous persisted into the first half of the Permian. Having one large continent, Pangaea, affected air and ocean circulation. This led to the creation of many large dry areas, including vast deserts. At the end of the Permian, heavy volcanism affected the atmosphere and the oceans. During the Permian, there was a transition to plant species that were better adapted for dry environments. Ferns and conifers became more prominent. During the Permian, we have the first cycads. Cycads are considered living fossils, which means that modern cycads are very similar to those that appear in the fossil record. Cycads have palm-like leaves and are prominent in the following Mesozoic era. Glossopterids also make their first appearance. These plants are now extinct, but produce seeds and were prominent in colder climates. They were known for their tongue-shaped leaves. With one major landmass, glaciation, and lower sea levels, there was not much shallow water for marine invertebrates to thrive. Brachiopods were the dominant suspension feeders. This is feeding through filtering out small organisms floating in the water. They were dominant up until the end of the Permian. As a reminder, brachiopods were a group of invertebrates that lived within shells. Bryozoans and trilobites were declining during the Permian. Bryozoans are colonial organisms made from many identical individuals known as zooids. Trilobites were invertebrates with many legs and hard exteriors and were divided into three lobes. Within the amphibians, species within the group Temnospondyls either became suited for land or for water. Archegosaurus was an amphibian with a long snout, like a crocodile. This has led scientists to make assumptions that it hunted fish. Eriops had a robust pelvis and shoulders for supporting its weight. Early reptiles during the Permian were mostly small and herbivorous to omnivorous. Mesosaurus was a small aquatic reptile and it fed on fish. Synapsids were the most dominant vertebrates in the Permian period. They had evolved features that enabled hunting. Their limbs had elongated and had moved to be positioned under the body. Their teeth differentiated into incisors, canines, and cheek teeth. Their eyes moved forward, which allowed for better vision. Dimetrodon is a well-known early synapsid. It is often mistaken for a dinosaur. It lived in the early Permian and was one of the most successful predators of that time. It is recognized by a large cell on its back. Cynodonts were synapsids that showed early signs of mammalhood. Cynodonts had evolved three ear bones, the malleus, incus, and stapes. Mammals are the only tetrapods with three. Other tetrapods only have one ear bone. The earliest signs of mammal-like cheek teeth, such as molars and premolars, appear in the cynodonts. At the end of the Permian period, the third mass extinction event occurred. It was the most devastating mass extinction event out of the five. It is nicknamed the Great Dying. Around 95% of marine and 70% of land organisms died out. Among the species that died out were the rugose and tabulate corals, trilobites, and the eurypterids. Large percentages of insects, brachiopods, and crinoids also went extinct. there was a 50% decline in plant diversity. Vertebrates were not hit as bad, but still experienced high species loss. The most accepted reason for why this extinction event occurred was the eruption of the Siberian traps. This eruption occurred in Siberia and involved a magma, ash, and gas release on a continental scale. This continued for thousands of years. All this material being released poisoned oceans and the atmosphere, which starved the oceans of oxygen. Less available oxygen created conditions which led to many extinctions. And with that, we finished talking about the Permian Period and the Paleozoic era. Next episode, we begin the Mesozoic era by looking at its first period, the Triassic period.